Trump has touted his support of the military as one of the core elements of his presidency. But in his interview with Fox News, Trump attacked a respected retired admiral, William McRaven, the man who oversaw the raid that killed Osama bin Laden.
Bill McRaven, retired admiral, Navy SEAL, 37 years, former head of U.S. Special Operations.
Hillary Clinton fan.
Special Operations.
Excuse me, Hillary Clinton fan.
Who led the operations, commanded the operations that took down Saddam Hussein and that killed Osama bin Laden, says that your sentiment is the greatest threat to democracy in his lifetime.
He's a Hillary Clinton backer and an Obama backer. And frankly,
he was a Navy SEAL.
Wouldn't it have been nice if we got Osama bin Laden a lot sooner than that? Wouldn't it have been nice?
Trump lashed out again today on Twitter, writing in part, quote, "Of course we should have captured Osama bin Laden long before we did." McRaven's been critical of the president's attacks on the press and his leadership style. In August, he penned an open letter calling for Trump to revoke his security clearance after former CIA Director John Brennan had his revoked. In a statement, he responded to the president's comments saying, "I did not back Hillary Clinton or anyone else. I am a fan of President Obama and President George W. Bush, both of whom I worked for. I admire all presidents, regardless of their political party, who uphold the dignity of the office and who use that office to bring the nation together in challenging times." Joining me now, Yamiche Alcindor, the White House correspondent for PBS NewsHour, and retired four-star General Barry McCaffrey is an NBC military analyst. General, let me start with you first, and just your reaction to the president choosing to mix it up like this with a decorated admiral like this.
Well, you know, there's actually a comical aspect to this. Admiral Bill McRaven is probably the epitome of a heroic warrior defending America. He commanded JSOC, career Navy SEAL, special operations guy, modest, sort of a quiet professional type, just widely respected by everybody in the community that's run into him, and apolitical. The senior military leaders are not partisan and will support whoever's the president of the United States. So his attacks on Mr. Trump must have hurt badly, and now he's acting like a eighth grader with this counterattack.
Yamiche, I mean, when I looked at what the president said here, my mind went right back to the summer of 2015 when he was at that event on the campaign trail early in the cycle. John McCain had criticized him publicly. He was asked about it, Trump was, and he immediately said, basically, I don't think heroes get captured, paraphrasing there what the president said. And it seemed like the instinct there was just anybody who says anything that he perceives as negative, he's got to find some way to throw it right back in their face. And it doesn't matter what kind of status that person enjoys. In McCain's case, as a decorated, veteran, in McRaven's case, as the sort of the mastermind of the bin Laden raid. Well,
the president's motto and what he lives by is if someone punches you, you punch them back harder, and then you punch them again and get someone to laugh at that person. That's the way that he got to be president. That's the way that he's acted his entire life. I've talked to so many Trump supporters who are veterans who backed the president's mocking of John McCain even after John McCain passed away. I had a conversation with a farmer and a veteran in West Virginia who said, well, John McCain shouldn't have been captured. He wasn't really a hero. Who cares? He shouldn't have talked about President Trump. So it's not only that President Trump can make these arguments and really pick any fight he wants, and it's the fact that there are people who will stick by him throughout all of this ordeal. And when I've heard all that he was saying about this general, I went back to the idea of President Trump also getting into a fight with the Gold Star family. There was that family whose son died serving the military, and the president was relentless with that family. So this is a president who is, as soon as he perceives any sort of threat, his strategy that he thinks is working, his strategy that he thinks will carry him to 2020 is to be strong in his mind, and that means to never let down his rhetoric.
It also seems, too, Yamiche, I said, throw it right back in their face, but it also seems part of the instinct here is to take the thing that's perceived as a strength, or even the thing that's perceived as untouchable, John McCain's war hero status, McRaven in the bin Laden raid, and basically say, oh, no, that's not off limits, I'll go after that, too.
I think that that's very much true. I think there's this idea that the president sees any part of your biography as up for game to ridicule you. You think about the fact that when he was out on the campaign trail, he ridiculed what Carly Fiorina looked like. I think about that because he's thinking about, oh, you know what, I need to get and really get at anybody under people's skins any way I can. And as a result, he'll talk about your family. Think of Ted Cruz, the fact that he was talking about his wife, talking about his father. His strategy, though, has worked, which is, I think, why the president continues to go back to that place where he can go as low and in the gutter as he needs to go in order to look strong for his people.
Barry McCaffrey, the president talks about being supportive of the military, surrounding himself and his administration with generals. He talks about the generals all the time. At the same time, there are instances like we're talking about right now. How is he perceived within the military community? How is he perceived?
Well, I wouldn't want to speak, for the active duty military. There's various viewpoints. I think the Army Times polling numbers show his support has been steadily dropping. That's neither here nor there. I think the armed forces are and should be totally responsive legally and practically to the commander-in-chief. Having said that, it's not lost on anybody the nature of the sort of inane, childish attacks on senior leadership. And by the way, what we should underscore is our reliance on Secretary Jim Mattis as a law-abiding, intellectual defense expert to keep the Department of Defense straight in terms of service to the American people. We'd better not end up with an acting SecDef, an acting Homeland Security, and an acting Attorney General. That would be a concern to the security of the American people.
It also seems, when I look at that statement from McRaven, singling out former Presidents Obama and George W. Bush and talking about a sense of honor in serving in their administration, serving under their command, I should say. There is almost a ceremonial aspect to the president traditionally. The president as the head of state, the president as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And it seems that aspect of the presidency is one that Donald Trump, for all I can see, maybe isn't that interested in pursuing in terms of he'd rather be engaged in the day-to-day, trying to win the day political point scoring.
Yeah, it's almost as if he's actually not working very hard at this. He spends a good bit of the day watching TV, brooding, tweeting, attacking his enemies. And by the way, to underscore something that bothered me when I hear it in the media, the president's got 5 roles under the Constitution: chief of party, chief of state, etc. Only one of them, commander-in-chief, refers only to the U.S. Armed Forces. He's not commander-in-chief of anything other than the 2 million men and women of the armed forces.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.